Well, seemingly stunned, President Cyril Ramaphosa has called on leaders in the ANC to unite and rebuild the organization in what is seen as a watershed moment for the ANC today, when you consider that all predictions are that its electoral support will continue to drop even in the upcoming national election in 2024. Well, the battle lines for the life and soul and even leadership of the party are also clearly drawn. As we know, President Ramaphosa will have to fight for the presidency up against Dr. Cyril Ramaphosa, a former minister in his cabinet until last year. Let's talk about this now with political analyst Musa Mdunge, who's with me in studio. Musa, very good evening to you. Thank you so much for being with us today. So, former President Jacob Zuma arriving right in the middle of Ramaphosa's speech today, not going to sit on the podium with the other members of the NEC. Coincidence or deliberate?
Good evening, Tembegile. I would believe that this was definitely a planned thing from the former president to embarrass Cyril Ramaphosa. We know what is currently happening between both leaders, and it almost seems like this is a Cyril Ramaphosa versus Jacob Zuma, with no way where I'm seeing Cyril Ramaphosa in any form or shape in this particular conference. And it really just highlights the level of factionalism within the ANC and the fact that this is a party that isn't focused on the substance of policy, and it showed even in his address. While he covered a lot of issues, including COVID-19, which he blamed, as more leaders do in that sense, he didn't really get to the crux of admitting where the ANC has fallen short. And I think there needed to have been an admittance with the ANC to say, this is what we've done, this is where we have failed. And we didn't clearly see that from the president. He looked like a man in defense rather than a leader, and it really showed in today's address, and it really highlights where the ANC is going or possibly will go under his leadership. There is a crisis in the ANC, and it's clear.
You say Ramaphosa appeared to be a man in defense. I wonder, in defense of himself or in defense of the organization?
In defense of himself, very clearly. Yes, maybe for his organization, but remember, he is still competing for a position. As much as this address is the address of the National Executive Committee, he is the man delivering it. And in essence, he's trying to position himself as the man who can really lead the ANC. But unfortunately, on the issue of unity, has the ANC achieved that? No. He was unable to answer what does unity truly mean. When he looked to his legacy, which I would assume is the issue of the 1.4 trillion rand investment pledges, he has never really told us what are these pledges for. There are two types of investments here.
And also a pledge, yes, by the way, is not necessarily money in the account.
It's not money in the account. And even where he states that 300 billion rand has been utilized, he's not specific from where and how. Right? Was this an acquisition of shares on the JSE? That's considered investment. Or is it actually somebody coming in and actually building a factory, actually manufacturing things? That's the type of investment we need to see. And the president has not been clear on what type of investment have we seen in the country. And it shows. Look at the economic growth numbers. Clearly, the multiplier effect of investment isn't showing.
So, just on that, I mean, we have seen several initiatives, especially in the last, I think, 12 months or so, related to the investment conferences. I think one of them was a brick-making factory that was opened not too far from where we are. Talk about vehicle manufacturers coming to set up plants here. But in this report today, Ramaphosa says himself that poverty and inequality are making people more hopeless in South Africa. That has been the case in this country since the ANC won that first election in 1994. Why has the party failed to address that reality?
In fact, Mbigila, I would argue with the president and say that in actual fact, it is the ANC that sits at the heart of the challenges of the country, and that is an admission that the president won't make. Of course, we know poverty, unemployment, inequality are serious issues. But one must ask themselves, has the ANC done enough from a policy perspective to really deal with the structural impediments that impact the economy? And clearly it has not. It has not gone far enough in doing so. And it really, really shows in the fact that you have low economic growth, you have high unemployment. In fact, South Africans are poorer today than they were 20 years ago. And that's a crisis that the ANC really needs to reckon with. And partly it's about looking at cause and effect. What causes economic growth? What drives employment?
Right.
And the fact that government keeps playing this same recording of it's going to create jobs is the problem here.
The language has now moved even to a creation of job opportunities
rather than jobs. Because clearly they then now understand that government is not there to create jobs. Government's role is to create conditions for when investment comes in and does that job. But you've got to ask yourself, if you are not dealing with Eskom, how then do you create investment? How do you drive that? So for me, this is very simple. His speech would have been effective today if it dealt with one thing, ESCOM. That's really all he needed to deal with. If ESCOM was operating at full mast, then this economy would grow at a minimum of 2% without the government doing anything else.
Musa, thank you very much.
My pleasure.
Okay.